Part 2. Biker kicks dogs for fun. Unaware, Jason Statham is the owner. In today's story, we're diving into part 2 of an unbelievable chain of events that left everyone on the edge of their seats. If you thought the first part was wild, trust me, you're in for a ride. Picture this: a quiet sunny afternoon at the park. A few kids are playing, people are walking their dogs, and everyone is minding their own business. Except for one guy. A biker cruising by on his motorcycle decides to do something no one could have predicted. He stops, hops off, and with a twisted grin on his face, kicks a nearby dog just for the thrill of it. The dog yelps in pain, and the people around gasp, unsure of what to do. It's like he's done it 1,000 times before, casually walking back to his bike as if nothing happened. Little does he know, the dog he just kicked belongs to someone you don't want to mess with. Enter Jason Statham. Yes, that Jason Statham. The man who's built a reputation in Hollywood for being the ultimate tough guy. But this time, it's personal. This isn't some action movie stunt or a scene from The Transporter. This is real, life, and he's just witnessed the biker's cruel act. Jason had been out for a run, trying to enjoy his afternoon with his beloved dog, Rex, a loyal companion he's had for years. Rex isn't just any dog, he's like family to Jason. So, when Jason sees this random guy kicking his dog, something inside him snaps. His usual calm and composed demeanor fades as rage starts bubbling up. But here's the thing, Jason isn't the type to rush in without a plan. He doesn't make a scene or yell across the park. No, Jason does what he does best. He watches, waits, and calculates his next move. The biker, completely unaware of who's now trailing him, rides off as if the day's excitement is over. But for Jason, it's just the beginning. As the camera pans to Jason's face, you can see the intensity in his eyes. This isn't over, not by a long shot. In part 2 of this insane story, things take a sharp turn. Jason Statham has no intention of letting the biker get away with what he's done. But this isn't just about revenge. It's about teaching a lesson. A lesson the biker will never forget. Stay tuned, because in the next part, we're going to see exactly how Jason tracks down this reckless biker. And trust me, it's not going to end the way you think. Jason couldn't shake the image of the biker kicking Rex. It was stuck in his mind, playing on repeat like a broken record. As he jogged back home with Rex limping beside him, he made up his mind. He wasn't just going to let this go. The biker had crossed a line, and Jason knew he had to do something about it. But this wasn't going to be some reckless act of aggression. Jason was smart, calm, and precise in everything he did. Once home, he tended to Rex's injury. It wasn't serious, but the fact that someone had hurt his dog like that made Jason's blood boil. Rex, being the loyal companion he was, didn't seem to mind much. He just wagged his tail and licked Jason's hand, as if to say it was all fine, but Jason knew better. Rex deserved justice, and Jason was going to make sure he got it. Meanwhile, the biker, whose name we now learn is Travis, was completely oblivious to the storm heading his way. Travis had always been a bit of a troublemaker, never taking anything seriously, and always looking for ways to push boundaries. He'd grown up with little regard for rules or consequences, always getting away with whatever he did. Kicking dogs for fun was just another thrill in his otherwise boring life. He didn't care who the dogs belonged to or how it affected anyone. To him, it was just entertainment. Travis hadn't realized that he'd messed with the wrong person. Jason, with his years of experience in action films, martial arts, and military training, was no ordinary dog owner. He had the skills and patience to track Travis down and make sure he learned a lesson. But first, Jason needed information. He didn't know much about the guy who kicked Rex, but he remembered every detail: the bike, the jacket, and even the look of satisfaction on his face after the cruel act. Jason started his search by heading back to the park, asking around to see if anyone recognized the biker. It didn't take long before a regular at the park, an older man named Pete, mentioned that he'd seen the guy before. "He rides through here often," Pete said, shaking his head. "Causes trouble every now and then, but no one's ever done anything about it." Jason nodded, thanking Pete for the information. With that lead, he began to piece together Travis's daily routine. He spent the next few days hanging around the park, staying out of sight but always watching. Sure enough, on the third day, Travis rolled through the park again on his bike. Just as Pete had said, this time, Jason followed him. Travis lived in a rundown apartment on the edge of town, surrounded by graffiti-covered walls and broken-down cars. It was the kind of people kept to themselves. Jason observed from a distance, taking note of Travis's movements, his interactions, and the kind of people he associated with. It didn't take long for Jason to realize that Travis was a small-time troublemaker, but his arrogance and cruelty made him dangerous. He was the kind of person who thought he could do whatever he wanted without facing any consequences. The tension began to build as Jason watched Travis more closely. He learned that Travis had a group of friends who were just as reckless and careless as he was. They spent their days riding around town, causing problems wherever they went. But what Jason noticed most was how they treated everyone with the same lack of respect. To them, the world was a playground, and other people were just obstacles in their way. As Jason's plan started to form, the stakes were rising. He couldn't just confront Travis without a plan. This wasn't a movie where everything worked out perfectly. There were too many variables, too many risks. Jason had to be smart about this, and most importantly, he had to ensure that Rex's safety was never compromised again. But Travis wasn't completely unaware. After a few days of Jason tailing him, he started to get a sense that something was off. He couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching him, but every time he looked around, there was nothing there. It made him nervous, though he'd never admit it to his friends. Instead, he brushed it off, thinking he was just being paranoid. The tension between the two men was growing. Even though they hadn't directly crossed paths again yet, Travis didn't know that Jason was getting closer, and Jason was waiting for the perfect moment to strike. He wasn't going to physically hurt Travis. He wasn't that kind of person. But he needed to make sure that Travis understood the gravity of what he'd done. This wasn't just about Rex anymore. It was about setting things right and stopping Travis before he could hurt anyone else. The more Jason uncovered about Travis's behavior, the more determined he became. But now, the situation was spiraling. Travis's friends were starting to notice something was up, and Jason knew he was running out of time. He had to make his move soon, but he had to be smart about it. The last thing he wanted was to escalate the situation into something dangerous. Just when it seemed like things were reaching a boiling point, a new twist emerged. Jason wasn't the only one who wanted to deal with Travis. One of the other dog owners at the park, a woman named Sarah, had also had her run-ins with Travis and his gang. Her dog had been scared by Travis's reckless riding, and she had been trying to find a way to stop him for weeks. Now, with Jason involved, she saw an opportunity. She approached him at the park, revealing that she knew more about Travis than anyone realized. With Sarah's help, Jason's plan was finally coming together. But as the two of them prepared to confront Travis, They had no idea just how complicated things were about to get. Jason and Sarah were now working together, combining their knowledge of Travis to figure out how to confront him without making the situation dangerous. Sarah told Jason that Travis's reckless behavior had been going on for months. She had seen him speeding through the neighborhood, scaring kids, and even damaging property with his friends. The more they talked, the more Jason realized that this wasn't just about Rex anymore. Travis had been a menace to the entire community, and it was time someone did something about it. The plan was simple but smart. They wouldn't confront Travis with aggression. Instead, they'd hit him where it hurt, his reputation. Jason knew that Travis loved the thrill of being feared by others, and he thrived on the attention he got from his friends. But what would happen if that image was shattered? What if everyone knew Travis was nothing more than a bully who picked on the weak? Jason decided to gather evidence. With Sarah's help, they set up a few hidden cameras at key spots where Travis and his friends often caused trouble. Over the next few days, they captured footage of Travis speeding recklessly through the park, harassing dog owners, and vandalizing property. The more they recorded, the clearer the pattern of behavior became. Travis wasn't just being reckless. He was a danger to everyone around him. Armed with undeniable evidence, Jason and Sarah took the next step. They didn't go to the police immediately, knowing that Travis's minor offenses might not get the attention they deserved. Instead, they decided to use the power of social media. They edited the footage into a short, hard-hitting video that exposed Travis for who he really was, a bully who hurt animals and put others at risk for his own amusement. The video quickly went viral, gaining thousands of views in just a few hours. Travis's world came crashing down. His friends, once loyal to him, started distancing themselves. People who had been too scared to speak up before were now coming forward, sharing their own stories of how Travis had harassed them. The more the video spread, the more isolated Travis became. He wasn't the fearless biker anymore. He was just a guy who'd been caught hurting innocent animals and terrorizing his neighborhood. But the story didn't end there. Jason knew that even though the video had taken Travis down a notch, there needed to be a more permanent solution. With the public now on their side, Jason and Sarah took the evidence to the local authorities. This time, with the overwhelming amount of proof and community support, they were able to take action. Travis was arrested for multiple counts of vandalism and animal cruelty, and his reckless behavior finally caught up to him. As Travis was taken away, Jason felt a sense of relief wash over him. Rex was safe, the neighborhood was safer, and justice had been served without anyone getting hurt. Sarah thanked Jason for stepping in, but Jason knew it wasn't just about him. The community had come together, and together, they had made sure that Travis wouldn't be able to hurt anyone or any animal again. In the end, it wasn't Jason's strength or fame that took Travis down. It was patience, strategy, and the power of standing up for what's right. Rex was back to his playful self, running around the park like nothing had ever happened. As Jason watched his dog happily chase a ball, he knew that sometimes the toughest battles aren't fought with fists or words. They're fought with persistence, a strong sense of justice, and the support of others. This story was a reminder that no matter how tough someone thinks they are, there are consequences for cruelty, and sometimes the best way to deal with a bully is to take away their power and show them that they can't get away with hurting those who can't defend themselves. Travis learned that lesson the hard way, and the rest of the community felt a little safer knowing they stood up to him together.